Another question I had. So there's a passage in Deuteronomy, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Deuteronomy 28, 18 to 21. And that kind of raised some question in my mind because there's very contradictory passages of God being all loving, being all generous.
Yes.
And there are also in the Old Testament about scriptures like this. So I just didn't really understand how I'm supposed to interpret these two things together side by side.
So the passage, I'll go there. Deuteronomy 21, 18 and 21, so we can, everybody. If a man has, no, that's not right. My eyesight's here. Oh, that's verse 15. 18. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and though they discipline him, will not listen to them, then his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his city at the gate of the place where he lives, and they shall say to the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious, he will not obey our voice, he is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of the city shall stone him to death with stones, so you shall purge the evil from your midst, and all Israel shall hear and fear. Wow. Okay? I should get my son to read that. Like, this is from God's Word. You should read this. This is the way they did it back then. Let me say a couple things, because I think it's helpful to understand. Sometimes when people read the Bible, they don't understand that the Bible is genres. And some portions are history, some portions are, are wisdom literature, some portions are prayers, etc., right? This is a portion of history. Right. And let me just back up two things. Like, one, if God is going to be the real God, He has to be a God that can condemn evil, right? And also be loving and merciful and wise. And so perfectly wise, He can condemn that which is evil and be merciful and wise. I mean, we expect nothing. Any good mother and father has to be able to do that. You have to be able to say, you better knock that off, son, and be able to handle when the son is being, let's say, wicked, or maybe just disobedient, but especially if he's being wicked, right? And there has to be some pushback, maybe even very serious pushback, and maybe even very serious punishment for that, and at the same time, loving kindness. So, in one sense, I think just from let's just be from a sensible perspective here, there has to be some forms. Okay, that's one. I know you're asking about capital punishment, but I'll get to that in just a moment. Right? So that's just one. Just from a principle point of view, the idea that God has to be nice throughout the whole Bible, I think that's just not even real. Okay, like to me, you just can't even have a real God if that's the case. You can't even have a real mom or dad like that. Okay, let alone have a real God. All right. But the second thing is understand that this is a piece of history. It's a genre of history, and God did not handle things the same way. A lot of people don't understand this. They seem to have an idea that God has to have a law, and that law is an immutable law for all times and all places. That's not the way it necessarily works. Is God just? In one sense, that's a principle where He's perfectly just, and that is not going to change. Is God loving? Is God righteous? All those things are attributes of God's character that can never change. But in any given context, He can reign and implement rules that differ from one set to another. And understand that this period is a theocratic period. So God, how is the governance working here? It's a nation that's a theocracy. Who decided to make this? God Himself decided to make this rule. Now it's a pretty tough rule. It's a pretty tough way of handling things, for sure. I would say I think it's pretty tough. But it's not like God has decided to do it this way in every single period of time, and He didn't. And so that's one point. You're asking about the general question about capital punishment. God, I don't think necessarily the Bible does not abolish capital punishment. Now, I don't think the Bible is all gung-ho about capital punishment. The Bible seems to accept the principle of capital punishment both in the theocratic state of Israel and even in Rome or other periods of times too. the Bible doesn't seem to have like a rebellion against capital punishment, but the Bible does have clear, there's portions in the Bible where it says if you're going to make a testimony, a lot of people don't quite understand, like say, take the 10 Commandments. And one of the commandments is you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, and a lot of people do things like, don't lie. Okay, that's what that commandment is teaching. That's not what it's just teaching. What it's teaching is a principle of criminal justice. Because if you bear false witness to your neighbor and you're coming out bearing witness, that's a criminal, that's a court proceeding. And in other words, that command is very interested in proper justice. That people receive proper justice. Now there's certain things that, like even here in this like you can't just like hate your son and decide we're going to go out and stone him. There actually is a procedure. And the elders of, in other words, the leaders of the government have to be brought into this. And I presume that if the leaders are going to be brought into this, they might just say, well, maybe you're just a bad dad. And they have a chance to say that. I would imagine that's how this would work. So there's some kind of a just proceeding. And that's very biblical, and that's also very much in Christian tradition, because, that's just rife all throughout the Bible. Does that make sense? So, I know Christians debate the question of capital punishment, and there are Christians on both sides of it. They're pro or versus con. As far as I can tell, the Bible is not explicitly against capital punishment. But I do think, as a Christian, there are ways that you can make an argument that our society can't handle it in a just fashion. For instance, let's just say, if African Americans get a raw deal and therefore we should get rid of this because they're getting this punishment disproportionate compared to certain other people, or rich people get off but poor people don't, I think that is a defensible argument why you might want to get rid of capital punishment. But just from the Bible itself, I don't think you can make that case. I think as long as there's a just proceeding, I think you can make the case that God cares about justice, but that capital punishment itself is not necessarily forbidden.